Hi there, I'm Becky from the Cary Library, and today I'm going to teach you a little bit about the art of needle felting and show you how to make a fun needle felted succulent planter, aka plant koozies. Needle felting is a fiber craft where you sculpt loose wool roving into different shapes using a barbed needle. Initially, the wool roving is loose and looks a bit like cotton candy. When needle felting, you use your hands to shape the wool and then use the barbed needle to get the wool to stay in your desired shape. The barbs on the needle tangle the wool fibers, and over time, the fibers tangle and tighten into a permanent shape. For this project, you'll need a foam board on which to work, an additional foam strip, a barbed needle, and wool roving. Today I'm going to use white, pink, green, and black wool roving to make my koozie look like a watermelon. Okay, so we're going to start by using a neutral color of wool to create a bowl-like shape for our planter. We're using the single color of wool during this step, so it allows us to solely focus on the shape of our planter, and then we're going to go back in and add color once our shape is complete. So we're going to start by creating a circular base, so just grab your wool roving and put it on your foam board in kind of a circle shape. If you have too much, you can just rip it off. Okay, and compare that circle to the base of the planter you're using. You'll want it to be just a little bit wider than that planter. Then take your barbed needle and start firming up that circle by poking it into the board. So just kind of move your hand evenly around the circle and get it going. And then what you'll do is you'll want to pick it up and flip it over and work on the other side. When you're creating something that is kind of flat and you can easily see both sides, you want to make sure you work on the front and the back side to get the fibers really nicely tangled together and create a solid shape. Okay, so again, just double check to compare to your planter. Looks good. And now we'll slowly start building up our sides. So take some more roving and put it around the outside and tack it into place. Okay, and since my wool roving is kind of in a long strip, I'm just going to take it and kind of spiral it up and tack it in. Take another. I'm gonna set my planter kind of in there again to see if I got it high enough. And I could use a little bit more on this side. Okay, and this gives me a very loose shape. which is good to start with, but what we need to do now is really tangle the fibers together, because at this point, while I have this shape, I could literally just rip it apart. So what I'm going to do next is turn this on its side and poke the inside against my board. And then I'm going to turn it. Okay, and once I've done that a little bit, I'm going to take the strip of foam and set it on the inside. This really helps us keep our shape as we're working. And then you can go along the outside and just keep poking. Sometimes I poke directly straight ahead like that, but I also kind of go on this downward angle because that helps tangle the fibers, not just against each other this way, but from top to bottom. It helps give you a more solid shape. So I do a little bit of both. Okay, and once I have done that for a bit, I'm going to gently take it off of that strip and then again work on the inside. And I'm just going to keep going back and forth to try and tangle these fibers. If I have some spots that are really lacking roving and are very see-through, I'll take some more and add it on and just keep working with the strip and against the board to eventually turn this into this. One more tip, make sure to get along the edge to get it kind of nice and neat. Poke in it this way. This is very dangerous because you could, not dangerous, but you have a high risk of accidentally poking your fingers when you do this, so go nice and slow, kind of pinch the edge and then gently push the needle there to give you a cleaner rim. Now that we have our shape, we can add color to it by laying wool roving on top and then felting it in. Today I'm going to make a watermelon koozie, so I'll be adding pink to the main portion and then green around the top with some black seeds. You can do any color you want. This one is just kind of neutral greens and some black, so use your creativity, but I think the watermelon is pretty cute. So I'm going to start by putting my strip into the center and then kind of break up my pink wool roving. You do this just by ripping it and then laying it on top of each other. I'm doing this because these strips will end up looking really streaky, so I want something that's going to look a little bit less streaky. So I'm just going to lay it over the top and then start tacking it in. And then once I have a section done, I'll get some more roving and put it over the other sections. Now that I kind of have a base, I'll want to look at where do I need to add more so that way I have a consistent color. Like here, you can see a lot of white through that, so I still have a lot of work to do. So you can just get little sections of the wool roving and set them over those areas that need more color and work on tacking them in. Okay, once you get it mostly in, you are going to want to end up doing the same process that we did before, where you take it off of the strip and you poke on the inside. I feel like this just helps it become a more solid shape to keep going back and forth, going both ways. It helps it look more, I guess, like fabric rather than pieces of cotton candy. And it does help make sure that the shape doesn't get warped by just working on the outside and not the inside. Okay, so once your pink is done, double check again to make sure your plant still fits inside and that your shape didn't get warped. We're good. Then take the green and you're going to add it around the outside edge. I really like this bright green, so we're going to start with mostly that, and then we'll fill in some spaces with this darker green because watermelons have multiple greens in their rind. So just place the green where you want it to be and carefully poke it into place, and you can kind of do that same technique that we did to get this edge nice and even, where you pinch it and slowly poke between where you're pinching. Okay, and when it comes to where it goes going this way, you know, it doesn't have to be perfectly even or straight all the way around because watermelons kind of are organic and the color fades in different ways. Okay, so I got most of that in. Now I'm just going to add little touches of this darker green. Okay, once you get your green done, it's time to add some seeds. So you'll want to get a little bit of black wool roving. What we're going to do to make the seeds is take a small bit, roll it between your fingers to make a little ball. And when you make this, you can kind of make it more of a teardrop shape by rolling one end a bit more. That's kind of what watermelon seeds look like. Then choose where you want it to go. On your planter, we'll take our strip and tuck it inside of our koozie and then tack that seed into place. There you go, and you can do that a few more times. You can create a pattern of watermelon seeds or just kind of sporadically place them. So what I ended up doing on this one was doing 5 pretty evenly placed seeds. On my other sample, I did more and I varied their height. This one's a bit more even. You can do either one of those methods or put them however you want, or completely forget about the seeds and have a seedless watermelon. All right, and here is our final product. You could spend a little bit more time to make it a tiny bit sturdier and get some of those fuzzies out of the way. You can keep just poking at it with your needle to fine tune it, or you can leave it how it is. But in the end, what you have is a little wool bowl. You can use it as a planter to snuggle around a plastic or ceramic pot. Just a note, I would not directly plant anything into these because the water could turn the wool kind of musty and yucky. But these koozies can be used as containers for odds and ends like jewelry, paper clips, coins, and of course as plant koozies. Thank you for crafting with me today. I hope you enjoyed making your needle felted planter, aka plant koozie, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Bye!